Push this table with your hand. Now pull a drawer toward you. What did you just do? You applied a force. A force is simply a push or a pull. Every time you kick a ball, open a door, lift your school bag, or stretch a rubber band, you are using force. But a force can do more than just move an object. So effects of forces are: it can make a stationary object move, make a moving object stop, change its speed, change its direction, or even change its shape. To understand how a force affects an object, we need to know two important characteristics: magnitude and direction. Magnitude of force tells us how strong or weak a force is. A gentle push and a strong push may act on the same object, but the stronger force can produce a greater change in its motion. How magnitude is represented. In force diagrams, the magnitude of a force is shown by the length of the arrow. A longer arrow represents a greater force, while a shorter arrow represents a smaller force. How force is measured. Force is measured in newtons, N, using an instrument such as a force meter or spring balance. Direction of force tells us which way the force is acting. A force can act upward, downward, left, right, or in any other direction. How direction is represented. The arrowhead in a force diagram shows the direction in which the force acts. Types of forces. Forces can be grouped into two main types: contact forces and non-contact forces. If you push or pull a book across a table, your hand must touch the book. But if a ball falls from some height, what is pulling it downward? There's no hand touching the ball. These two situations show the basic difference between contact and non-contact forces. Let's discuss them with some other examples. A contact force acts when two objects are physically touching each other. Try pushing a toy car with your finger. Your finger touches the car, so the force is a contact force. The force from your foot when kicking a football, the force from your hand when opening a door, and the force from a bicycle brake stopping a wheel are all examples of contact forces. You might think a push or pull is all two contact forces, but it doesn't mean they work the same way. Contact forces come in several forms. The most common contact forces are applied or muscular force, frictional force, air resistance, water resistance, tension force, and normal force. Each one affects motion in its own unique way. Let's explore them one by one. Number 1. Applied or muscular force. Every day, you use muscular force without even noticing it. When you pull a chair, push a trolley bag, zip up your school bag, or throw a basketball, your muscles are applying a force to make something move. We also use applied force when working with tools. When you hit a nail with a hammer or tighten a screw with a screwdriver, the force still comes from your muscles. The tool simply helps transfer that force to the nail or screw, making the job easier. Humans and animals use muscular force every day to move objects, carry loads, ride bicycles, and perform countless everyday tasks. Number 2. Frictional force, or friction. Have you ever tried running on a wet floor? Your feet might suddenly slip, making it difficult to stay balanced. But on a dry floor, you can run, stop, and turn without falling. Why does that happen? The answer is friction. Friction is a contact force that acts whenever two surfaces touch and try to move past each other. During this movement, friction pushes in the opposite direction, making movement more difficult. Let's see it in action. Place a football on the floor and give it a gentle push. The ball begins to roll, but after a few seconds, it slows down and eventually stops. Have you ever wondered why? No one touched it again, yet something was working against its motion. As the ball rolls, its surface rubs against the floor. This creates a force called friction, which always acts in the opposite direction of motion. Little by little, friction reduces the ball's speed until it finally comes to a stop. Now, imagine trying to walk on a floor covered with ice. Your feet might slide because there's very little friction. But on a normal floor, friction gives your shoes grip and helps you walk. But here's the interesting part. Without friction, you couldn't walk because your shoes would slide with every step. Cars and bicycles couldn't stop when the brakes were applied, and you wouldn't be able to hold a pencil because it would slip from your fingers. Of course, too much friction isn't always helpful. It can make machines wear out, produce heat, and waste energy. That's why engineers often use oil or grease to reduce friction between moving parts. Air resistance. Have you ever stuck your hand out of a moving car window? You can actually feel the air pushing against your hand. That pushing force is called air resistance. Air resistance is a contact force that opposes the motion of objects moving through air. As an object moves, it collides with these air particles, which push in the opposite direction of the object's motion, making it harder to keep moving. The faster an object moves, the greater the air resistance it experiences. Air resistance depends on surface area. More surface area catches more air, increasing air resistance. This is why a parachute opens into a large canopy before landing. Its wide surface area catches more air, creating greater air resistance that slows the person down for a safe landing. Cyclists and racing cars, on the other hand, are designed to be streamlined. Cyclists bend forward, and sports cars have smooth, sloping shapes to reduce air resistance, allowing them to move faster with less effort. Water resistance. Try moving your hand quickly through the air. Now, imagine moving the same hand quickly through water. Which one feels harder? Water pushes against your hand more strongly. This opposing force is called water resistance. Swimmers, fish, and boats are affected by water resistance. Just like air resistance, water resistance also depends on surface area. That is why many fish and boats have smooth, streamlined shapes. Their shapes help water flow around them more easily. Tension force. Imagine pulling a bucket up from a well using a rope. Your hand pulls the rope, and the tight rope pulls the bucket upward. This pulling force in a stretched rope or cable is called tension force. You can also see tension in a guitar string. When the string is stretched and plucked, the tension in the string helps produce sound. Tension is also important in many structures and machines, like cranes to lift loads, elevator cables to move it up or down. Helps support suspension bridges. In aircraft landing gear, absorbs the large impact when an aircraft lands. And suspension systems in vehicles to absorb shocks and reduce vibrations when something moves over an uneven surface. Normal force. Place a book on a table. Gravity is pulling the book downward, so why doesn't the book fall through the table? The table pushes upward on the book. This supporting force is called the normal force. You can find normal force almost anywhere a solid surface supports an object. A chair pushes upward on you when you sit, a desk supports your laptop, a shelf supports a book, and the road pushes upward on a car's tires. In each case, the surface is in contact with the object and provides a supporting force. Normal force does not always mean upward. It acts perpendicular to the surface. For example, if a box rests against a slanting surface, the surface's normal force pushes the box perpendicularly to the slanting surface. We've seen how contact forces work when objects touch each other. But here's something interesting. Can a force act on an object without touching it at all? So if contact is not needed, what is causing these forces? That's exactly what we'll discover in next lesson about non-contact forces. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.